The visit of the Prime Minister is after quite some time. He has been Prime Minister since 2021 when he was appointed. He has met our Prime Minister 3 times last year, actually, but this is his first visit to India, and was a very important visit, which comes after 8 years after our Prime Minister Modi, paid a very historic visit to Vietnam when our bilateral relationship was elevated to the highest level of relationship that they have, which is a comprehensive strategic partnership. And over these 8 years, both sides have been working on the agenda of our bilateral partnership, and therefore this was an occasion to take stock of where we are and to plan the road for the future. So earlier today, Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh was accorded a ceremonial welcome at Rashtrapati Bhavan forecourt by the Prime Minister. You have seen the visuals. It was a very solemn, grand, and yet a ceremony that was full of warmth. You saw the warmth between the two Prime Ministers in that event. This was followed in the official engagements by restricted level talks with our Prime Minister, followed by delegation level talks and a lunch, and the Prime Minister called on Rashtrapati Ji and also Uparashtrapati Ji. Honorable External Affairs Minister had met him yesterday evening. So it was a full day of engagements for the Prime Minister, and he also addressed a little while ago the ICWA had organized in Sapru House a strategic talk by him on strategic policy matters. As you know, Vietnam is one of our closest partners in the ASEAN region and a pillar of our Act East policy. It is a country with which we have a long and historic and civilizational relationship, which has blossomed into many different fields, in the defense and security field, in the economic trade and investment field, in people-to-people contact. So all these are very bright areas of our cooperation. Vietnam today is a rapidly growing economy, as you know, and is similar to our Viksit Bharat 2047. They also have Vietnam 2045 vision to become a developed country, a high-income developed country by 2045. And this was a common refrain today in the discussions. The Vietnamese Prime Minister referred to it several times, that we have similar ambitions. Our bilateral trade is about $15 billion, although both sides do feel that this could be significantly increased, and the very large business delegation that accompanied the Prime Minister speaks to the interest that Vietnamese business has in India. A joint statement on enhancing our comprehensive strategic partnership and a plan of action for the implementation for the next 4 years, 2024-28, were the two key outcomes of the visit. In addition, we signed a number of agreements, 9 in all, to further broaden and deepen our cooperation. These are in very diverse areas. You will see a list of that on the website. They cover everything from cooperation in medicinal plants to customs cooperation to radio and television programming, legal field, heritage conservation, etc. Both sides discussed common security challenges and agreed to further enhance our defense ties, which is a very important pillar of our partnership, as I have said. 2 lines of credit agreements were signed between Vietnam's Ministry of Finance and the Import Bank of India, amounting to $300 million US. This was part of the package that Prime Minister, during his visit to Vietnam, had announced some time ago, and the actual identification of the projects that these 2 lines of credit will be used for has now been completed. One of them is for Coast Guard ships, and the other is for border patrol, fast border patrol boats. Both the Prime Ministers witnessed the signing and exchange of the MOUs, and at that time they also virtually inaugurated the Army Software Park in the Telecommunications University in Nha Trang in Vietnam, which has been completed under an Indian grant. Vietnam also announced that it will join the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, and the early completion of procedures for joining the International Solar Alliance was also indicated. Prime Minister reiterated that Vietnam is a critical pillar in India's Act East policy and the Indo-Pacific. The leaders spoke of the importance of the rules-based order in the region, including upholding international law, particularly the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, and freedom of navigation and overflight. They reaffirmed that a peaceful, stable, secure, free, open, inclusive, and rules-based region is in the common interest of all the countries. Preservation of shared heritage was also one of the dimensions in which we cooperate with Vietnam. India has provided technical assistance worth $2.25 million for conservation and restoration of UNESCO World Heritage Site at My Son in Quang Nam Province. ASI, the Archaeological Survey of India, has completed the restoration of 3 of the sites, and a letter of intent was signed for the F block of temples in the area of conservation of shared heritage. Also, an MOU for development of the National Maritime Heritage Complex at Lothal was also signed in this context. The Prime Ministers underscored the importance of closer people-to-people exchanges, with tourism booming between the countries, anything between 300,000 to 400,000 in number. There are as many as 56 flights a week between the two countries, which shows that the people-to-people relationship is also booming. Both sides discussed opportunities to cooperate on global South issues, where Vietnam participated in the first and the second Voice of the Global South Summit hosted by India last year. And both sides also agreed to enhance parliamentary exchanges. The meeting between the two leaders has been highly productive, affording them an opportunity to comprehensively review the full spectrum of bilateral relations. Vietnam's unequivocal support for India's permanent membership of the United Nations Security Council was also reiterated today, as was Vietnam's support for India playing a greater role in world affairs. In conclusion, I could say that the India-Vietnam relationship is one of civilizational friends, and India as a trusted partner was reiterated again and again by the Vietnamese Prime Minister.